Well, thank you very much, and thanks for the introduction, which is completely wrong. Because I was the vice chairman of the National Development Planning Commission of Ghana, but that was many years ago. And therefore, a new one has been appointed, and my fear is that I might be stoned if I don't collect it by the new person who will think of me as an imposter. I'm really a member of the panel of the WISE of the African Union. I represent West Africa, and I'm in the company of President Kaunda, who represents Southern Africa. And for North Africa, we had President Ahmed Ben Bella, who died. For East Africa, we have Salim Salim. And for Central Africa, we have the former president of Sao Tome and Principe. So I do not think it is good to refer to me as vice chairman anymore. You know, you cannot influence the internet. They will put there what they will. But they can also cause you trouble. I was also the chief advisor to President J. Kufuor of Ghana, who has some message written there. And I want to say that he had the courage of his convictions. And when I heard about what was being said about the president of Nigeria, that he has boldly given women the opportunity to sit in very important ministries, I told myself that leadership is important. I refer to President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf because she was in charge. She took monumental decisions to put women, and many of them, including my dear friend Banke here, who was Minister of Commerce and also Minister of Foreign Affairs of Liberia, and a very good one at that, who took on everybody and made a difference in Liberia. To make the point really that it is important to have enlightened presidents. Okay, so that's the first point I like to put to the group. That at the time of elections, yes, we focus on women to increase their numbers, but it is equally important to work to ensure that if it is not a woman who is going to be president, let an enlightened president be elected. The reason I say this also is that in this whole gender game, there's rollback. You see, the young people sitting here, my grandchildren are older than many of them. And we started working at this thing since 1975 with the Mexico Conference. What has not been said? Everything which needs to be said has been said. There have been so many resolutions. And the rhetoric is always correct. But then, apart from the risk of rollback, you have rhetoric, which does not move to action. So, as we strategize to increase their numbers, I want to plead that we leave space to make sure that instead of bringing in new resolutions, we implement what has been said. So that's my second point. Third point, I want to say that in my life, what I've realized is that women do not recognize that they are very powerful. You see, especially the African woman. And I think that we need to raise consciousness of women. Who socializes? It's the woman who brings up the child, who gives the value system, who will tell a child, be confident in yourself, whether the child is a boy or a girl. Who will tell the daughter, the girl child, you can do anything. So as we look at the political arena, let us also make sure that we bring the women up to speed. And that cannot always be done from the top. So I am saying that we should disaggregate the responsibilities. And for those who are doing the research, please let's focus there. But let me, since I have a very short time, just turn to the subject matter which was given to me, which is the role of the international organizations. I want to say that the African woman traditionally has had a place and continues to have a place once you move from the very formal arena. If you take many tribes in Ghana, you cannot have a chief unless the chief has been selected by a woman. We had our place as the world took interest in gender. There is no doubt that we cannot always say that we have not swallowed hook and sinker models which might be absolutely inappropriate for our cultural and traditional setting, which could be part of the problem. So much money has been spent, and we are grateful to the development partners who have prioritized gender and tried to help us to improve the position of the African woman. But we have to insist that they must listen to us more. We need to define the problem. We need to also influence the kind of approaches which are used. We need to influence the entry points, and we need to be an integral part of the packaging of the interventions. Otherwise, we might find that a lot of money has been spent, but in the end, the results will not really be as good as they could have been. In other words, let us constantly ask ourselves, has the money been well applied? How have the beneficiaries been selected, those who have benefited from all this assistance? Many times we get into institution building, and as I say, the gender gap, sustainability is not easy. You have to make sure that the institutions meld with our own institutions so that they are not artificial creations. You know, gender machineries are good. And we find that development partners have put a lot of money into these. But how have they been crafted? What influence have they had within government in terms of influencing budgets so that when allocations are made, issues of interest to women are put out as important as other inputs? In terms of national development plans, what influence have gender machineries had in integrating the special concerns of women in these plans, which in the end determine how much is going to be spent and what priorities are going to be there? The United Nations system, we have always said, should lead by example. We look at how they have treated their own women staff members. Have they given them the same opportunities as men. I have got some UN colleagues here, they will tell you the story. A woman's life in the international organizations is not easy. So a lot of the resolutions have been lip service. And the UN itself, the World Bank, and other development partner institutions, DFID, etc., let them not just talk or make money available. Let them lead by example. What we also realize is women are invited to meetings. We are here, and such a beautiful room is very nice. But if you know, I'm on the panel of the wives of the African Union. And when panels are put together, there are no women on the panels. They might be in the meetings, but they are not put on the panels. I want the men and the women who go to these meetings to insist that visibility is important. And because of that, women must be given a voice at the highest level, not just at gender meetings. And so, my sister, I'm very proud of you, that you led a delegation to a bastion of men and held your own. Maybe the first time they were surprised. But now, I'm sure they love you very much. You know what? Because of my age, I have seen it all. I joined the Ghana Civil Service when I was very young, when I was very thin. I wish I were still thin. But basically insignificant looking. And my advice to you young people is, hold your own. When I had gone to, and I was permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance and Planning in Ghana in the 1970s. So I'm telling you the sort of challenges a person like myself would have faced. But I held my own in a nice way. I would not be put out of the room because I had been rude or had shouted. Women have to know what is in their toolkit and use it. Women have to know their advantages and use them. We have to work with our environment and make sure that we are not sent out of the room or we are not labeled as trouble because maybe we did not read the environment right. Let us mentor these young ones. Those of us who have had the experience and have stayed the course, let us mentor these young ones. Talking about my life again, I was the first African woman to be appointed UN resident coordinator, representing the United Nations as ambassador all over the world. And anytime I went into a room, people said, oh God. They no longer said, oh God, after a few days, because truly we have to accept we have to work harder than everybody else. And then I went to the International Labour Organization as the Deputy Director General and the first African woman to attain a position of Under-Secretary General of the United Nations. My name is Chinery-Hesse. It doesn't sound African. So people, and I was appointed after 70 years, 70 years of the founding of the ILO. So people would be shocked that a woman had been appointed to this position. But then, okay, a German lady, maybe Hesse. Chinery, maybe Irish or Scottish. But then they come in, and here was an African woman insisting on wearing what they called at the time funny clothes. You see, this they will wear to a fancy dress party. Oh, they do a double take. By the time they finished with me, they've changed their mind. So this is it. Let us present ourselves well. Again, I would walk into a meeting with my assistant, maybe a German or a Swedish gentleman, very distinguished. You know how they are in the United Nations. And then a minister will come out and go immediately straight to them because they couldn't imagine that this person was the boss. They changed their mind. Which brings me to my last point. We need a certain critical mass of African women, visible so that the young women know their role models. But also the world realizes that we are not a pushover. Are we a pushover? No. Certainly not. We have grit. Let us give our daughters grit to stay the course, and let us have the confidence to talk back at these international institutions, to tell them that we have our way, and that we can partner beautifully, and that they will succeed more if they listen to us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your attention. Very, very good. Thank you very much. Where should I sit?